Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Steven Wilson, The Overview. To say I had some reservations about Steven Wilson's newest two-part progressive rock suite is putting it lightly. Two extended multi-part tracks, one running 23 minutes, the other over 18, where Wilson takes control of nearly every angle from singing to playing the majority of the instruments to production as he tackles the concept of the overview effect. When astronauts see Earth from space and are confronted with the paradigm-breaking perspective, where it could touch agonizing transcendence at humanity's connective abilities to survive, how beautiful that is, or just be crushed by the weight of the vastness of space and how small Earth really is. It's a neat concept, but at least to me, Wilson's best work as a solo act has come from embracing more pop with his unique progressive flavor. Hearing him make a deliberately backwards-looking, spacey prog adventure indebted to Tangerine Dream or Pink Floyd, that would probably be fine, but I wasn't sure it would feel all that special amidst his catalog, both solo or with Porcupine Tree. Or hell, if he was just making progressive rock, why not get with the rest of Porcupine Tree on this project? Either way, there is a version of this album with each song segmented between their component movements with distinctive names I'll be using in the review. But while it's useful to highlight specific details, in practice the two songs are built to operate as massive extended pieces where no one movement works all that independently. And that's kind of a shame, because that might have given Steven Wilson an obligation to write a distinctive melodic hook. And I know the common progressive rock excuse is that hooks don't really matter, you're supposed to be left in awe of the progressive composition, everything on display, but amid some impressive solos and well-structured transitions, this is Steven Wilson playing with a palette and tones that are both extremely familiar to him, but also anyone who knows the canon of prog that he's drawing from, especially Pink Floyd. It's harder to feel awestruck at all the technical refinement when I've heard him trace these lines before and do it better. When the songs lack greater momentum or impressive crescendos, you're left to ponder, well, some of that familiarity. It's not saying that there aren't crescendos here. The Buddha of the modern edge builds a lockstep swell, even if Wilson doesn't really let it explode beyond the pianos and some liquid warbles of guitar. Similar case for the Cicerones' arc and perspective, using some warbling, chalky drum machines amidst a few pretty piano passages to attempt to accentuate all the grand distance, later echoed in the watery reprise of Infinity measured in moments, with some shockingly ugly, gauzy synths that are dumped over some otherwise cool solos. But if you're looking for anything all that explosive or climactic or epic, I don't think you're gonna get it. Now granted, a lot of it's also tied to the writing. It's clear that Wilson's interest in the overview effect is less about humanity confronting the fragile beauty of our connections and existence, and a lot more to hammer this persistent downbeat nihilism about how none of it really matters in the grand dark expanse, with the first piece a rampage against consumerism left over from the future bites, ripping into the human animal and the petty inanities amidst the cosmic wake, with a dash of the environmental doomerism which felt a lot more potent on Fear of a Blank Planet nearly 20 years ago. Bookended with a lot of relationship melodrama that's trying to add some of that human connection but feels kind of awkward and petulant, which might be more realistic but doesn't make it all that enjoyable. The second piece tries to land that more cosmic point of view, but the narrator can't detach from the losses he felt on Earth, and there's no reason for anything, and we're all drifting through the permanence of the void. And it isn't just that this sort of wallow isn't meeting any sort of modern moment or has any real degree of sophistication, but we've heard Steven Wilson do this before. Making it cosmic and inescapable doesn't escape how tired it is coming from him. And a key example of this comes on the opening movement of the title track with his perspective, where we hear a list of stars and galaxies and their distance from Earth, the exponential distance, meant to accentuate how far everything is. But when it's delivered with such rote precision, it becomes trivia. And I'm reminded of We Real Cool by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds from Push the Sky Away, where after a similar astronomical list, we get the line, Wikipedia is heaven, when you don't want to live here anymore. Feels very prophetic for this album. And it's not saying there aren't potent moments. Cosmic Sons of Toil is just an extended prog jam session across solos, but it goes hard, with a decent grimy solo concluding No Ghost in the Moor, Heat Death of the Universe. The warbling Pink Floyd-esque acoustics and vocal multi-tracking across A Beautiful Infinity, Borrowed Atoms. It was pretty neat as someone who also very much remembers The Wall. And I like the sharper juxtaposition between the mundane and the achingly elegant on Objects Meanwhile, in between the pianos and the touches of strings, and a really nice propulsive bass line that also has this sax accented breakdown that later will swing back into the spacey atmospherics on Permanence. The saxophone there is really pretty, although it feels like a rather on-the-nose David Bowie reference, and while I'm not complaining about said reference, it's another example of Wilson looking dejectedly at the past than looking forwards towards anything else. In short, look, I like Steven Wilson. I've proven that for about a decade now, and I can't in good conscience say this is bad. But when a franchise goes to space, you can often tell the ideas are starting to run dry, and that feels very apparent with this project. It's definitely more for the die-hard progressive rock fans than anyone else, but even then, you will recognize he has done this considerably better in the decades past. Maybe worth a listen if you're curious, but temper some of those expectations. Fair warning. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe. I know this review is going to piss some people off. I know Steven Wilson's diehard fan base, but listen, you all know that, and I've covered enough of his material to know he's done this better. And yeah, I know I'm the outlier who prefers more of the pop stuff like Hank Cannot Erase and To the Bone, but come on, those songs are memorable. This really isn't. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if y'all want to get involved in getting projects on my schedule, or supporting the channel, or yelling at me on my Discord, link to Patreon and YouTube memberships is right over there. Don't feel obligated. Tough times, I understand, but options available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.